honest, I need groups to stop disbanding. Like, I get that groups can't go on forever. I understand that logically. And then every time I see the announcement of a disbandment, I feel the need to give said group their own deep dive, and that's frankly exhausting. Like, since I started making these notes, Dream Note got announced to be disbanding, and I was like, I do think Dream Note has some bangers that deserve their flowers. What if I made a Dream Note video and then I had to talk myself down and be like, bestie, you have your next like 3 history ofs already planned out? You don't have time for that. Anyway, Purple Kiss. I have called them Korea's Queens of Darkness. They're the last standing, like, dark girl group. I guess last standing now doesn't really apply to them. Either way, they're Korea's Queens of Darkness. We're talking about Purple Kiss. And Purple Kiss is fun for me specifically because they're one of those groups where, like, I love their music. Their catalog has such a run of, like, bangers in it. It's crazy. I love their music. I don't know them, like, as people that well, if that makes sense. Which is great, because I'm ready to both give the songs that I love all the hype they deserve and learn something, because we love to learn in this house. And we'll get to that. We will get to all of that shortly, but first I have to do my shoutouts. I have to do my credits. I have to give credit where credit is due. Starting us off, as always, is Madam Smoky Glow. I hope she's doing well. She's been posting on Instagram more lately, so I'm glad to know she's alive. Either way, she is here because she used to make these evolution of videos that I was crazy about. She's a YouTuber, I should have specified. She's a YouTuber who used to make these evolution of videos that I was crazy about. And they were what originally inspired me to make deep dives. I know it's not like her concept originally, but she was my inspiration. She's what made me actually want to sit down and do it all those years ago, and here we are now. So I will be putting both her channel and evolution of playlist in the description. Next, the bestie. The bestie is actually mad at me at the moment, exclusively because we were going to go see the new Emma Stone movie, or more accurately, we were not going to. She wants to go see the new Emma Stone movie, and my plans for tonight got canceled. So I was like, great, I'm gonna film my Purple Kiss video. And she was like, what if we saw the new movie instead? And I was like, no, I've already set up a bunch of shit, so I'm not doing that. So she's mad at me now. But either way, the bestie, we love the bestie. We stand the bestie. The bestie is my rock, my ride or die. And also, the only reason these videos are slideshows, they were her idea to make them as slideshows, so she gets credit for that. And lastly, my lovely Bean, light of my Thursdays. Today's Wednesday, so I have not technically spoken to Bean yet this week. I hope we will do so tomorrow. Only time will tell. Either way, Bean. Bean is here for being my true biggest supporter in a way that is crazy because she does not care. Bean does not care about K-pop even a little bit, and here we are. Here we are now, with me ranting to her on a weekly basis about whatever big video I'm working on, her supporting me endlessly even though she does not care. Bean, I love you. I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. Okay, now that my shoutouts are out of the way, we're going to do disclaimers. This is the last thing we have to do before we can really talk Purple Kiss, is my disclaimers. I do feel like in the grand scheme of K-pop, Purple Kiss fans are probably on the more normal side. I haven't heard any concerning tales or seen any concerning behavior, but every fandom has their fanatics. And I'd rather be safe. I'm covering my bases. Item 1. I am mainly discussing music in this video. As previously mentioned, I am not a huge Purple Kiss stan. I have mainly spent their career engaging with them through their music, and I did not change that in the making of this video. This video, more than most of my history ofs, is going to be heavily focused on the music of the group. And don't get me wrong, I do not believe Purple Kiss has a bad song, so I will be hyping up a good few releases. But even so, if you're here for more of like a day-to-day thing, like what shows were they doing, maybe some stuff like that, that's not what this video is. This video is going to be pretty much 90% probably is going to be me talking about their music. Item 2 kind of goes with item 1, but I'm not covering everything. I never do when I make these deep dives. I never cover every activity simply because it bores me. A lot of it bores me. If you want a list of every single time your fave went on Weekly Idol, Weekly Idol has a Wikipedia page. Control F their name. That's your best bet. But like, that's not what these videos are. These videos are for the things that I've deemed important. The things I've deemed important for Purple Kiss specifically are pretty much going to be some covers, which we'll get to, musical releases, obviously, tours, the biggies, right? I cover biggies and then things that I care about. Item 3 is really just to cover bases again. Opinions at times. This video is going to be quite positive because, again, I love Purple Kiss's music. They do not have a bad song in my mind. So this one, my opinions probably won't scare you as much, but even so, just in case, given the fact that I am discussing a lot of music, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about music, I have opinions about them, and you can disagree with all of those opinions because they're opinions. Alrighty, that covers that. We may now begin member time. We're going to meet the members of Purple Kiss. As always, to pretend I'm normal, I go in age order. Also, if anyone wanted a quick drink update, because I'm about to open it, which one is this? This is the Strawberry Sunset Bubbly. I am a seltzer girl, if you didn't know that about me. And I saw this at the grocery store, and the case is very summer vibes, and it intrigued me, and it fascinated me, and it is delightful. It does taste quite good if you're a seltzer lover. I would recommend this. Okay, enough seltzer talk. Let's get back to the members. Age order, first up, Park Ji-yoon. Park Ji-yoon is a former member of Purple Kiss. She would leave in late 2022 due to some anxiety issues that we'll get to, but during her time with the group, she was the lead vocal. She was also born on September 4th, 1997. Okay, now let's do some fun facts, okay? First fun fact, her nickname is Bambi. I think that's cute. I think that's nice, and I think that's cute. Fun fact number 2, she has a dog. Morally correct choice in pet. I respect it, and that is a hill I will die on. Fun fact number 3, she is lactose intolerant, which is both iconic and relatable. I would like it known, I put down in my notes that she's lactose intolerant weeks ago now. It's been a hot minute since I wrote that down. And then yesterday, one of my coworkers showed up to work with like a full cheese spread. They were like, yeah, I had a Halloween party last night and I had a bunch of cheese left over. So I brought in this cheese spread. I ate so much cheese in the last 2 days and I am suffering. None of you care about me or my pain. Let's move on and talk about the first member that's still here for the next week, which is of course Nogon. She was born on September 3rd, 1999, and is our first main vocalist that we've hit. There are several. They're all iconic. She's the first one. She's also the lead dancer. Society would actually get our first glimpse of this diva back in 2018. She was on Produce 48. She did moderately well, I would say. She made it to number 29. So, nothing crazy by any means, but certainly a respectable amount. Other fun facts include she wants to get a scuba diver's license, or maybe she has one. I actually don't remember now. I'm a fake fan. Something about scuba diving and her, just know that. Also, she has said her favorite food is what her mom makes. I think that's cute. I think that's sweet. Next, we have Miss Jang Eun-sung, aka Dosi. It's our first stage name, and it's Dosi. And here's the thing. I know that this stage name was inspired by Paeon Something New. I know that. I learned that in the making of this video. I don't care. I hate it. It's so bad. Please change it. I guess it doesn't really matter, actually, if she changes it. I'm actually gonna, go by that in a post-Purple Kiss society. I'm depressed. Either way, birthday. She was born on February 11th, 2000, and serves as the main dancer and sub-vocal of the group. Like Gon, Eun-sung would actually make her first public appearance on our survival show. She was on Mix 9. The fever dream / hellscape that was Mix 9. She didn't do crazy well by any means, but she was there. Other fun facts include she is a drawer. She likes to draw. I used to do that. Maybe I should get back into it. Anyway, other fun fact is she's a Kehlani fan, which is so timely and so relevant because Kehlani just got her first top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 this week, and as a fellow Kehlani fan, I'm very happy for her. Also, she has a twin sister, and I need a morality check for 30 seconds, okay? Is it morally reprehensible if in my next job I lie and say I have a twin? I have no intention of leaving my current job. My current job is great, but they know I don't have a twin, so I can't really do it now. But in my next job, is it morally reprehensible or morally questionable, I guess I'll say, to lie and say I have a twin so that if I run into someone in the streets, I can pretend to ignore them? I'll let you ponder that moral quandary while I talk about our next girl, which is Cho Soyoung, aka Ire. She was born on April 30th, 2002, and is our main dancer and sub-vocal as well. Ire may not have appeared on any survival shows before debuting, but she did train at YG with Baby Monster. This is the game I always play with myself when I find out that someone trained at a big agency, is what group did they train with? Baby Monster feels late, But Blackpink definitely was too early. Maybe with that like weird middle group for that girl group they were going to debut in 2020 and never did. That's my current theory. She trained with someone. On top of that, she is a SpongeBob fan. Interesting. She also has said publicly that her favorite time of day is when she's in bed, but like right before she goes to sleep, like that middle phase. She's so real for that. She's so real for that. I love that. Also, last thing about her, her representative emoji is a chipmunk, and I think that's really cute. She like describes herself as a chipmunk. This was a choice on her part. I find it very endearing. I can't quite explain why, but I find it very endearing. Anyway, next we have Yuki. Yuki is our Japanese member, and she was born on November 6th, 2002, and serves as the main rapper, lead dancer, and sub-vocal of the group. Some fun facts about Yuki. First, she takes the brave and bold stance that cream sauce, with pasta specifically, cream sauce is better than tomato sauce. That is a bold move against the grain, in the minority, also the correct answer. That is the right answer. If anyone was curious about my stance as a pasta connoisseur, absolutely cream sauce every day over tomato sauce. Specifically, actually, I'm more of a butter sauce person, but this isn't about me. Either way, she likes cream sauce, and she is right. She also likes horror movies. Samesies. She's right about that too. And she collects stuffed animals. Borderline samesies. I collect plush of various forms. Me and this girl, I think we'd be friends. Also, Yuki may not have gone on any pre-debut shows that are worth discussing, but that did not stop her, because she went on Queendom Puzzle after debut, like years down the line. She went on Queendom Puzzle, and she did great. She finished in third and debuted in the worst named girl group possibly of all time, with L's Up, the real name of a real girl group. She debuted with them. I would say that, like, it impacted things, but I'd be lying to you. I really would. It impacted, like, two things, and we'll get to it when we get to it. I am so sorry. I forgot I used that Yeon pic in this video. Oh my god. Anyway, next we're talking about Chaeyoung, aka Lee Chaeyoung. She was born on December 5th, 2002, and is our next main vocal, as well as being the lead dancer and sub-rapper of the group. Okay, let's address the Yeon in the room. She's friends with Yeon. She trained at YG. That's why. She also went on K-Pop Star in 2011. I would like you to look at that age for a second. I put down that she's 9. She was actually probably 8 years old at the time. Very YG of her. She is also a Nepo baby. Her mom is a famous cellist. Her dad is a director. Her sister is also a model, which I feel like was less impactful. However, as someone with a sibling, I think we need to normalize sibling nepotism. I want my sister to do all the work, and then I want to coast off of her success. Other fun facts about Chaeyoung, she also likes to draw. Good for her. And she has 2 dogs. Double the dog. That's so fun. That's so nice. Maybe I need another dog. Either way, last but not least, we have Park Sujin, who is also known as Swan. She is born on July 11th, 2003, and serves as our third and final main vocal and our maknae. I just know someone's out there right now being like, what the fuck do you mean that this girl group has 3 main vocals? Here's the thing. This is an RBW girl group. These 3 main vocals earned their status. All 3 of them at different points that we will get to. I will talk about their vocal slayage, and we will dive into it. They have earned their status main vocal. Do not question RBW vocals. That's like questioning SM vocals. Like, you're just gonna look stupid. Swan is also an icon, if nothing else, to me. She has such a cool voice when she sings. It reminds me a lot of Jinky from SHINee, which is delightful, because she loves doing covers. A gift, frankly, to all of society, but again, specifically for me. Other fun facts include she speaks English, she lived in the Philippines for a bit, and she likes to paint. A hobby I would love to pick up personally, except for the fact that like 90% of my apartment is carpeted. Anyway, that's all the members. We finished member time. We can now begin the official timeline, the official history of Purple Kiss. Alrighty, so the tale of Purple Kiss begins, at least for me in this moment where I'm choosing to tell it to you, it begins on March 19th, 2018, when RBW launched the YouTube channel for Practice 365. Think of it kind of like SM Rookies, only instead of being various idols that you will go on to see be famous, it's Purple Kiss. At least, kind of, it's Purple Kiss. You may have noticed 2018 is a good bit before Purple Kiss debuted, and the lineup would change a decent amount over the years, but the Purple Kiss members are there. The majority of the 365 practice content that's at least still available to be viewed on the Purple Kiss channel is a ton of covers, which is great for someone who likes me, who loves a good cover. I would say the videos were moderately successful, certainly more successful than anything I post, so what the fuck do I have to comment on? But either way, their most viewed video from this era would be their Go Go Bebe practice video. This got about 2.5 million views, and in terms of subscriber count, around a year in they cleared 100,000 subscribers and would hold a little concert to celebrate. Things just kind of chugged along for the next year after that until June of 2020, when we got the official trailer for Purple Kiss. This would be followed by usual things, individual trailers in July, some more stuff in August. Also around this time is when they actually rebranded their channel. They took the Practice 365 channel and named it the Purple Kiss channel, hence the reason all those videos are on the Purple Kiss channel. This rebrand also meant a massive shift in the content posted on the Purple Kiss channel. Originally, you may recall, tons of covers. Great day for Simons around the world. Post Purple Kiss rebrand, they moved away from the covers, a crying shame, and focused a lot more on behind the scenes content. Moving into November of 2020, we would get our first taste of Purple Kiss music with their first pre-release single, My Heart Skip a Beat. And this song is great. It reminds me a lot of like early Giddle, like their first couple singles, definitely before they got like massively big, right? Their early work where it's a lot darker, more rock infused, that kind of vibe, it's great. It also did moderately well, I would say. The performance video for it pulled in around 2 million views, and over on Spotify it has about 3.5 million streams. Not bad when you consider there was no promotion whatsoever for this song, outside of just the endless videos that were posted on the Purple Kiss YouTube channel. Jumping ahead into the new year and into February, we got a very important release, which was their Disney Princess medley. This medley is our introduction to the Purple Mints series. Purple Mints, like performance but purple, right? You take the words, you combine them, it's that. If you watched my Very Very video, you'll know that in my Very Very video I covered a lot of Very Very covers, which I called Very Grounds because that's the name of them. This is their version of that. Just like with Very Very, I'm not covering all of them. I'm covering the ones that I specifically go back to and watch and feel like you all need to be aware of. I'm not hitting all of them. There is a playlist on the Purple Kiss YouTube channel, like the official channel, that is just called, I think it's just called Covers. I can put it in the description. It's just called Covers, I believe. But it is every cover these girls have ever done across the board. Official like studio covers, performances on music shows, variety shows, all of the stuff. I will put it in the description. If you are like me and you love a good cover, I would highly recommend you take a couple hours out of your day, sit down, run through it. You can cherry pick, obviously. You don't have to actually watch them all. But like, if you're a fan of a good cover, these girls know how to eat up a cover. Anyway, that's the background. Now for the cover. This cover is everything to me. This cover is so iconic. As you can see from this lovely image, they did dress up. They dressed up as the princesses whom they were covering. I'm actually now looking at this. This is the wrong image. This is a bad image for that, but they dressed up. You'll know it if you watch the cover. They dressed up for their cover. It's delightful. They also have the Disney font for the subtitles. And here's my only complaint. I do have one complaint. My only complaint is that they did songs from Brave and Tangled, which, like, here's the thing. I am a child of the 2000s. I was raised on 90s Disney movies. I would have loved, like, Part of Your World, something from Beauty and the Beast. I would have loved more of that, but again, I am a child of the 2000s. They are children of the 2010s. That's not even true. They're not even children of the 2010s. They're also children of the 2000s. Either way. Last thing about this cover, Gon. You remember how I said we were going to get our representation for why the 3 Purple Kiss main vocals are main vocals? Let's talk about Gon. Gon did Reflection from Mulan, and she ate that shit up. She bodied that cover. I want a full version. I want them to sit down with her with a mic in a studio and just have her sing the whole song. Put it on the YouTube channel. I'll watch it 1,000 times if nothing else. Okay, enough ranting about the cover, let's move on. Still in February though, we would get our second pre-debut single with Can We Talk Again. And this song is kind of excellent. It's kind of fantastic. I love a darker sound from Purple Kiss, but this is an R&B song, and it reminds me a lot of like a Red Velvet R&B song where that darker vibe is still gonna be there, but you're also gonna get the best vocals ever. Also, for the record, this shift in sound was very intentional. Like, the members themselves have gone on record and said they intentionally did a complete sonic shift because they wanted to show off their versatility. And I know no one asked my opinion, but you did click on my video, so you're gonna get it anyway. I love that. I love when a group can really be more versatile instead of just making the same basic sound over and over and over again. There are groups that I have covered, that I'm not going to name, that made essentially 3 songs for their entire career. And then there are the groups like Enhypen, or Just Be, or Purple Kiss, that made such a wide range of music, even just looking at their singles, and I love when groups do that. The song also did even better than their first single had, which makes sense if you ask me, because I think it's a better song. But this has about 5 million streams on Spotify, 6 million views on the video for YouTube. Again, nothing like out there, like insane, but quite good, again, considering no promotions whatsoever outside of various behind the scenes content only posted on their YouTube channel. And then, on March 13th, Purple Kiss would officially debut with Into Violet. Into Violet sold fine. Okay? It peaked at number 11 on the charts and sold about 30,000 copies. For an average brand new girl group, I would consider that quite well. I think I just feel differently because they're under RBW, and like RBW has Mamamoo and like is a big label, and by this point was already buying up other labels. Like RBW was huge at this point. And I would probably feel differently if they were under a different label, but they aren't, so I don't. Now let's shift to talk about the title track, Miss Ponzona. I like this song a lot. That said, I do think, this is gonna sound so similar to my EXO video I'm realizing right now, of the 3 singles they have for this album, the 2 pre-debut ones and then Ponzona, I do think this is the weakest, simply because it feels like the middle ground of the other 2. You don't get the vocals that are as stunning in Can We Talk Again, and you don't get the power from My Heart Skip a Beat, but you do get good stuff with this song. It's still dark and it's still creepy, and it is still very good. I would like to stress, I love their first 2 singles, and this one is still really good. It just kind of doesn't hit in the same way as the other 2. For what it's worth though, I do remember listening to the song when it came out, and I do remember liking it more then than I do now. I think it's simply because Purple Kiss has done similar vibes to this dramatically better later in their career, but for a debut, it's still really good. My opinions aside though, the song did do fantastically well by Purple Kiss standards, okay? It pulled in 12 million streams on Spotify, more than both of their pre-debut singles combined. However, the real shining star was absolutely YouTube. This music video pulled in 24 million views as of current filming day. Fantastic numbers. Incredible numbers for a brand new girl group. Now let's turn our focus to talk about the rest of the album. The album was not just the title, there were other songs. Obviously the titles here, as well as the 2 previously released tracks, but there are 4 brand new songs for this album. The album opens with an intro, Crown. It's amazing. It reminds me a lot of like darker Billie Eilish. It's so cool. Also, not to repeat other things I've said in other videos, including my last history of, every Purple Kiss album starts with an intro. You can expect 2 things from this intro, okay? The music is gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna flow perfectly into the lead single. Both of these things are a guarantee for Purple Kiss. I can also guarantee that I'm never gonna talk about a single one again. They're all great. I actually do, unlike with the Enhypen and the Seraphim ones, I do actually recommend that if you do sit down, you start with the intro before you listen to the title. I think it actually helps a lot with the experience. I'm never going to speak of them again. They're there, I love them all, that's it. Amongst the other songs on here, what I would consider the real songs that we're going to talk about. First, let's talk about Hello. Hello is our closest thing to a ballad on this album. They don't try and do like a creepy ballad, which I appreciate. It's much more just toned down, gorgeous vocals. These are RBW vocals. RBW has goated vocals, and it's time we all admit it. The album's closer, Period, similar vibes to Hello, just more hopeful, I guess I'd say would be the biggest difference. It's great. I say this self-admittedly as a piano stan, but I do really like it. But that leaves us one song that I skipped, which is Skip Skip, which is going to be our golden B-side on this album. For the unaware, if this is your first history of with me, or you've seen really old ones but not more recent ones, the golden B-side is an award I made up that I give to my favorite B-side on the album. It is not necessarily the best one. That is an important distinction. It is not necessarily the best B-side, it is my favorite B-side. And Skip Skip is good. It's more of like a standard pop song than the other few songs that we've talked about, but I like it. I'm a pop girl. It has great music, it keeps up the creepier vibes, it's a great time. As a whole though, the entirety of the Into Violet album I think is good. I think it is a good start to the Purple Kiss canon. However, there are very few artists that I think peaked with their debut album, and Purple Kiss is not one of them. We are far from the actual heights of Purple Kiss both commercially and musically. Promotions for Puzzle Now would run for around a month or so, very standard Purple Kiss timeline. So that takes us to mid-April, and then May, you would get Find Me, a collaboration with Lollipop. Now, as established, I did not come into this creation process as a Purple Kiss stan, which means I actually did not know that this song existed, which is a shame because it's really cool. I will admit, it does not sound like the kind of vibe I associate with Purple Kiss, right? Like, if you played this for me and didn't tell me who was by it, I would not have guessed Purple Kiss. Because it's kind of just like a chill dance pop song, but also it's good, and I like it. Summer was mainly categorized by festival appearances and whatnot, and those bore me. But July also got us our next cover, which does not bore me, okay? This is their cover of Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored, and I like this one. This cover is especially relevant because it is both a vocal and a dance cover. Prior to this moment, Purple Kiss covers, at least for the most part, I might have missed one that was both, but in my experience, the ones that I go back to, Purple Kiss covers are either vocal covers or dance covers. They do not overlap. This is an exception. Plus, as far as covers go, this is a good one, right? Like, the choreography is cool, the vocals are obviously stellar, also they got to say fuck. Not a given in every Purple Kiss cover. But that's not all. Purple Kiss likes to do their covers in chunks a lot of the time, so it's not uncommon to get a couple within the span of a month or so, and at the end of July we got our next one, which is when Swan released a mashup of Skyfall and No Time to Die. I'm so obsessed with this cover, okay? It opens with this whole thing about how Swan reinterpreted the songs and also tells you that for the optimal listening experience you should use headphones. It also tells you this in both English and Korean because they are inclusive and legendary. Plus, the cover is incredible, right? Like, these are Swan vocals we're talking about, and No Time to Die is all well and good. It's a great song, but I am a Skyfall bitch. Okay, I love that song. I genuinely, really and truly think it is one of Adele's best songs and never gets the hype it deserves. The concept of me sitting here talking about Skyfall, a song that peaked in the top 10 of the Hot 100, won an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, a Grammy, has gone multi-platinum, and telling you it didn't get the hype it deserves? I stand by it. Anyway, the cover is fantastic. If you have not experienced it, I do highly recommend it, and yes, it is optimally experienced using headphones. Okay, no more covers to talk about. August was just spent prepping for a comeback, and September got us that comeback. September 8th, to be specific, they would release Zombie, as well as their second mini-album, Hide and Seek. And I'm so sorry we need to talk about Zombie right fucking now, because this song is fucking fantastic. I need to calm down. I need to take a breath. But in seriousness, this song is excellent, okay? It's this bright, fun, dancey pop song. I have seen people tell me that it still has the darker vibes of their first album, and those people are stupid, and those people are wrong. The music video we can talk about. The music video I'll give you. The song itself, no. Can I be so honest? I'm honest on this channel. I feel like my love of Zombie makes me a bit of a hypocrite when we get to later releases, because the thing is, this is not a Purple Kiss song. I think had this come out anytime after their second album, it would have been an insane sonic shift that would have hurt the group, okay? I do believe that. Because this song is not Purple Kiss. It is fantastic. It has one of the best choruses I think we've gotten from Fourth Generation. It is one of my all-time favorite Purple Kiss singles. But it's not Purple Kiss. That said, I don't care, right? Like, I don't care that this isn't Purple Kiss because this is a fantastic song. Had, like, a bigger girl group dropped this exact song, it probably would have been a massive hit, like a #1 hit. Had, maybe not Itzy, but like Stacy, girl, had Stacy put out Zombie, they would have gotten a #1. I believe that in my spirit, right? Like, had a just bigger artist dropped this, it would have been an insane moment because this song is, again, fantastic. I love it. It's, again, just a really big sonic shift for the group. Thankfully, though, I am not alone. Like, society does seem to agree with me that their song is amazing because this is arguably their biggest hit. Okay, it has 22 million views on the music video and 16 million streams on Spotify. But the thing is, Hide and Seek did just as well, right? Like, we can talk about what Purple Kiss's biggest hit is digitally. We can have that fight, because there are other contenders. That is not true for the album. This album is, by every metric, Purple Kiss's biggest success. The album marked not only their first time breaching the top 10, but made it all the way to number 5 on the album charts, their only album to this day to peak in the top 5. Plus, it remains their best-selling album to this day, with more than 45,000 copies sold. I know I just covered Le Sserafim, right? A group that could sell 45,000 copies in an hour for a Purple Kiss compared to their debut. That is great. Okay, enough numbers, let's talk music. Now, this album is good. I like the Hide and Seek album. It is also one of 2 albums that I point to and I'm like, if you want to experience classic Purple Kiss, like the darker vibes, all that, don't go to these albums. That said, again, just like with the title track, I think what really keeps this album as like beloved is just the fact that it came out so early in their career that they hadn't built that sound yet. We'll get to the other album, because I have feelings about that other album. But for now, we're talking about this album, and this album is good, right? I remember when I listened to this album for the first time, it is what sold me on Purple Kiss, right? This is what really had me being like, I need to pay attention to these girls, and I need to do it immediately. 2AM has this grand, almost orchestral vibe to it, and the vocals are gorgeous. But if you want to talk vocals, if you want to talk a vocally forward song, the album's Closer, ZZZ, that song is beautiful. It's nice, and it's chill, and again, the vocals are devouring. And yes, the vocal songs are nice. I do love a good vocal song, but I am a pop girl, and they brought their A game to the pop songs on this album. Cast Pearls Before Swine is admittedly the song I think about the most when it comes to the B-sides on this album, entirely for the name. That is an iconic name. It's also a great song. It's fun. It's catchy. The chorus is fantastic. It's a great time. So Why is fun. It's a bit more restrained, I would say, than the other pop songs, but it does have probably the strongest music, both on this album and within the Purple Kiss canon. It's definitely up there. Like, the music here is so cool and it's so dancey. However, for our golden B-side, I gotta go Twinkle. I do. Are you kidding me? That song is pop perfection in every way. It's so good. Okay, the pre-chorus is fantastic. The music in the chorus feels rapturous in a way that I cannot explain, but I stand by. I love the guitar when it comes in. The raps are good. The whole song is so good. Now, that wraps up their second album. Just like with their first one, they promoted it for around a month. So at this point, we're talking like October. Things would quiet down after that, which is nice, because they've been really busy for pretty much the whole year. So we're going to jump ahead just a little bit. Okay, December got us our first digital single from Purple Kiss, and a Christmas single with My My. My My is nice. It's fun. It's cute. It's very Christmassy. It again does not feel like Purple Kiss to me, but it's nice. The main thing with My My actually that I do want to focus on is that I got no promotion, like, at all. I personally do not consider this a mainline Purple Kiss single, and I feel like Purple Kiss is with me. I don't think they've ever performed this song live. I haven't tried to find anything for it, so like maybe they did. I do know they didn't promote it all, which saw the numbers plummeting, like under 1 million streams on Spotify. But again, it's not a mainline single to me, so that kind of tracks. Anyway, that's it for 2021. And we've been here for a while now. I have actually been sitting here in this chair for over an hour already. And my ass hurts. So we're going to take a break. We're all going to take a break. You're going to go take a little retrospective. And I'm going to stretch. Alrighty. Welcome to the retrospective corner. If you're new here, if this is your first time as my history of viewer, I like to end all my years when I make my history of just a little retrospective, or at least most years. I like to just take a second, sit down, give you the overall highlights of a year. It's nice, it's fun, and it's my video and I can do what I want. And I think if we look at Purple Kiss as a whole, really through the end of 2021, through the end of their first year, the sort of theme I come away with is throw things at the wall and see what sticks, right? We have a rock song, we have R&B, we have regular dance pop, we have a darker kind of pop. And it's so interesting looking back at it now, at this sort of lack of cohesion, because sitting here in 2025, having literally just yesterday listened to the entire Purple Kiss discography in one go, I feel like they have one of the most cohesive discographies in K-pop. And you would never mistake a modern Purple Kiss song really for anyone else. With a couple exceptions of their singles, for the most part, if I put on a Purple Kiss title, you're gonna know it's Purple Kiss. And I think it's so interesting when you say that now, and then you look back at what they were doing in 2021. And I am conflicted about this lack of cohesion, if we're being perfectly honest. Because here's the thing, on the one hand, I have said this in many videos, I love when a group plays with their sound. And in the modern day, I think Purple Kiss has absolutely mastered the ability to make different kinds of music while keeping their sort of brand there. I think they're great at that now. I think in 2021, it was a lot of growing pains. They released a lot of singles in different forms in their first full year, and it's kind of crazy to look back at it now and be like, they dropped 5 singles that year. Right, between pre-debut stuff, mainline titles, and a Christmas single at the end, they were doing a lot. And I do feel like that sort of lack of cohesion, as well as the just mere quantity of it, was hurting their numbers just a bit. I've talked about this with other groups in the past, but when you do a ton of stuff really fast, it is not uncommon to see a sort of fatigue start to form. I don't think Purple Kiss was necessarily flopping because of that fatigue, but I do think it was sort of restraining them from being able to blow up as big as I say, should have been, simply because you're dropping all these different sounds and there's nothing for people to really latch onto. Actually, pause. Since I mentioned Purple Kiss flopping, I would like to take a moment and discuss how I view success in terms of metrics for just a second. I've said this in many other videos, but I compare an artist to themselves. That's how I've always done it, and that's how I try to continue to do it. Because the thing is, I don't think it's fair to compare any artist's numbers to any other artist's numbers. There's always something unique going on, right? Like, you can't compare IVE numbers to New Jeans numbers, or to aespa's numbers, or to Giddle's numbers, because all those other groups have other things going on that is going to impact their numbers that don't apply to IVE. And I think the same thing is true for Purple Kiss. It is not a good use of my time, in my mind, to take the time and learn what the other girl groups were doing, even the ones the same size and same popularity levels as Purple Kiss. That's not a good use of my time. This video is about Purple Kiss, and if I'm constantly bringing up other girl groups to compare Purple Kiss to, we're all gonna get tired of that. I compare artists to themselves. I compare their streaming numbers to their past singles. I compare album sales to their past albums. I compare YouTube views to past music videos. That's the way I've always tried to do it. And that's really, I think, like the core thing, because I will always think about it and be like, do I want to discuss what other people were up to at the same time? Especially for a debut, I think it's kind of important. But once we get past like that first comeback, I'm not comparing you to anyone else unless you're releasing like a Ditto level hit. Anyway, thank you for letting me go on my tangent. Thank you for joining me in the retrospective corner. Now let's talk about 2022. Okay, welcome back. Welcome to 2022. Remember, like, literally 10 seconds ago when I was telling you how musical cohesion was kind of an issue for Purple Kiss in 2021? Welcome to the Purple Kiss brand synergy era. But we actually start pretty quiet, so I'm going to jump ahead to March when they would release Mem Mem, their third mini-album, along with its title track of the same name. And also, to be clear, in my headcanon, I refer to the song as Meme, because that's how I always read it. And that's what I'm going to call it, because I don't like calling it Mem Mem. It does bad things to my mouth. But this album did do relatively well. It would peak at number 7 on the chart, so their second top 10 sold about 36,000 copies, so bit of a drop from their last album, but still outperforming their debut. However, fascinatingly to me, if nothing else, while the album saw a moderate drop, but nothing concerning. The same cannot be said for the title track. The music video currently has about 13 million views. A great number for a lot of artists. Also 10 million views less than their last song, and they don't really have the 10 million to lose. Spotify is even worse. This song has 7 million streams, okay? That is not bad by any means. But that is about half of what their last song got, and again, I would like to remind you, they have a pre-debut release that has about 5 million. So we're getting alarmingly close, so not good. We're red flags. And remember how I said it was interesting to me specifically that this song flopped? That's because I consider this a return to form, right? This is their return to that darker sound they did with their debut and with their pre-debuts, and I think it's really cool. I will say, I can see a world in which this chorus specifically annoys the fuck out of me. I don't see that as like a separate reality. I can see it happening. However, I think the song is good enough that it sort of makes up. The first half is the part that would drive me crazy, and I think the rest of the song can like cover that. But more importantly, I've heard this song 10 times in a single week, and I didn't get sick of it. So I think we're safe. However, that's enough about the title. I'm done talking about the title. Let's talk about the B-sides, because there are some B-sides to discuss. Let's start poppy, okay? We're gonna start with the poppiest thing on here, which, in my opinion, is Hate Me, Hurt Me, Love Me. You can see it down there in the fuck-ass font, that song. Here's the thing. In a different reality where I made this video in, like, July, 50-50, that's my golden B-side right there. The song is so fun. It's so catchy. It's so poppy. I love it. Meanwhile, Oh My Gosh and Joa are more R&B coded. Those are our R&B songs for the album. They're nice, they're chill, vocals are great. The one negative thing I'm gonna say is Joa made me think about Joa by Jay Park, which made me think about Jay Park. Unironically, the worst part of making this video. Thankfully, this album does make up for it by having what is widely considered the best Purple Kiss B-side. And I'm, of course, referring to Pretty Psycho. Pretty Psycho is, dare I say, the perfect Purple Kiss song. It perfectly embodies the Purple Kiss credo, if you will. I consider the Purple Kiss credo 3 things, okay? Thing 1, dark vibes. You need to be dark, you need to be creepy. Thing 2, very cool music. The music on its own has to be stellar. Thing 3, you got some gorgeous vocals. And this song, all 3 in spades. I forgot to mention, that is our golden B-side. Pretty Psycho is our golden B-side for the album, okay? And as previously mentioned, Society agrees with me. Society and I are on the same page with this one. This song has more than 5 million streams on Spotify. It is the most streamed Purple Kiss B-side on Spotify, period. It has more streams than some mainline titles we're gonna get to, and nearly outstreamed the title track on this album. I have seen so many people say that Pretty Psycho should have been the title track on this album. And I can't say I disagree. That song is fantastic. Anyway, as always, promotions ran for a month. We know to expect this now. Promotions ran for a month. They did have to shift it forward a little bit because I think 2 or 3 members, I don't remember how many now, some of the members got COVID right when this album came out. It was, 2022, so COVID was still going around and being a thing and being a menace. I believe I had COVID in 2022, actually, now that I think about it. Twinsies. Either way, they had to push promotions, but promotions took us through April, so there you go. Anyway, that was April. Now let's talk May, when we would get our next Purple Mints cover with Chan, Swan, and Goen releasing Bury a Friend. This, to be clear, is not the first time we've had Purple Kiss covering Billie Eilish, because they are kind of built for it. Their vocals, specifically Swan's vocals, are so perfectly aligned with, like, early Billie Eilish, like, up through When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? I want them to drop a song together. That's my craziest fantasy, is, like, Swan and Billie Eilish drop a song together, because I think it would eat. This cover is also so cunty. We're back to the classic Purple Kiss cover vibes, where you either get dance or vocals. This one's vocals. No choreography, just them with a mic. And here's the thing. I have always said that talent itself is inherently sexy to me. At least to me. okay? If you are capable of doing something impressively, I find that sexy, and they are so hot in this. They sound so good. They're so hot. I'm normal. I'm normal. We're moving on. Now, following promotions, they would get to work on their next album, as we can expect, and in July, we would get their 4th mini-album with Geeky Land. And Geeky Land was another big success for Purple Kiss. It sold 40,000 copies and earned them their 3rd top 10, peaking at number 7 on the GOG charts. The album would also be led with Nerdy, another darker title, and society seemed to appreciate the vision. They appreciated the cohesion, because while their last single saw a huge dip in numbers, Nerdy saw them bouncing right back up. Nerdy managed to pull in 11 million Spotify streams. Not their strongest by any means, but almost double what their last song got, so we're definitely making progress. YouTube wasn't as drastic, but did see a jump. The music video has about 16 million views as of right now, so we're not talking anywhere near the numbers they got their first 2 singles, but we are again talking progress. We're doing much better than we had done with our last album. Now, we could theorize why these numbers went back up. I'm gonna argue it's because Nerdy's fucking fantastic, okay? This song is the perfect embodiment of the Purple Kiss credo. I'm not going to say it is their best title, but it is the most Purple Kiss to me. Remember the Purple Kiss credo? Remember the 3 things I listed? Let's run through them really quickly, okay? First, dark and creepy vibes. It is indeed. Very spooky, very much a fan. Cool background music. The background music is a banger. Excellent music. And lastly, the vocals. The vocals are, of course, on point and stellar as always. Like, here's my thing with Nerdy. I already said it. I don't think Nerdy is their best title, right? Or at least it's not my favorite. It is not my favorite title. Even of their darker titles, I don't think it's their strongest. I could be convinced. I'll say that. But I do think Nerdy is perfect as sort of the Purple Kiss resume, okay? Taking the Purple Kiss concept, dark vibes, creepy music, excellent vocals. All that, you packaged it up flawlessly, put it in a song, and gave that song to the public. Like, yeah, Zombie is fantastic. Again, I love Zombie. I like all the Purple Kiss titles. Again, I don't believe Purple Kiss has a bad song in their entire catalog. I think all of their music is at least good to some of the best pop music I've ever heard. But the thing is, Zombie is kind of basic in a way. Maybe not basic, but Zombie does not have anything about it that is distinct that you're not going to get from a bunch of other girl groups. Nerdy, to me, is Purple Kiss basically walking into the room and being like, hi, we make creepy pop music that is fantastic. Please support us. And if you were curious, if you thought maybe like Nerdy itself was incredible and the album was less good, you'd be wrong. You would be so wrong. This whole thing is, again, Purple Kiss bringing their A game to their concept. We do have a few songs that some could consider a bit more standard pop fare, a bit more basic, with specifically the 2 I'm thinking of are Fireflower and Can't Stop Dreaming. But the thing is, both of those songs are really good. But more importantly, Can't Stop Dreaming has some of the coolest music we have gotten from Purple Kiss so far. Like, it's synthy and messy, but it's so engaging and it's so cool. Plus, there's the R&B songs. Specifically, I want to point to the album's closer, Summer Rain. That song, it's chill, but it's also like haunting and depressing. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And then there's our golden B-side, Love Is Dead. So that song slaps. I love it. It reminds me a lot of their first song. Not their debut, like My Heart Skip a Beat, their first song. It's this messy rock song that hits perfectly. The raps are also really good on this one. The music is really cool. It's all around phenomenal. As expected, how long did promotions ran? They ran for a month. Good job. After that, though, November saw the announcement that June would be leaving the group. RBW did not beat around the bush, to their credit. They very publicly said that her anxiety was a factor in this decision, and I do actually really respect them for this. I feel like, especially nowadays, it's so common to just get a member to leave and they're like, yeah, they left. Who knows why? I wonder why that happened. Anyway, guys, let's talk about something else. They didn't do that. They just said, hey, her anxiety's really bad. She needs to take a step back. She's leaving the group. And I respect that. However, if you have not watched a video of mine, specifically one of my deep dives, that includes a former member, I do not cover former members. I feel like it's easier that way in my mind. For this group, it's not that hard. But this video is about Purple Kiss, right? And this is where June's story with Purple Kiss ends. It does seem that since her departure from the group, she's taken a step back from the public eye. I hope that's the best move for her. I hope she's doing well. I didn't do like too much diving into what she's into now, because to me that feels a little weird. Like if I needed to know, it wouldn't be hard to find type of thing. But I hope she's doing well. I wish her nothing but the best. Back to Purple Kiss. Actually, I lied. We're actually gonna go back to the retrospective corner, because that just about wraps up 2022. So yeah, let's go back there. Okay, 2022 was a very complicated year. I don't want to say we're already at the downfall of Purple Kiss, because that implies that there was a peak of Purple Kiss, and I guess technically there was, but even then the peak was not that high, and we have never really had like massive Purple Kiss, so to say there's a downfall isn't true. What I will say, however, is I do think we have now reached the point, especially after their last album this year, we reached the point both as a society, and more importantly, I think RBW reached the point where they realized Purple Kiss was never going to be as big as Mamamoo, or really even as big as Oneness was at this point in their career. But that sets up the interesting question of what do you do with them, right? What do you do if you are RBW? You have Purple Kiss, a not super successful group, when you have bigger artists, like you have Oneness, not to mention at this point, they owned WM, they owned DSP, they had these bigger artists they could do things with, and they had Purple Kiss as well. And obviously, the end of your second year is not a guarantee for the rest of your path as an artist, right? EXID and AOA got big more than 2 years out. Newest and Brave Girls got big 5+ years out. Brave Girls got big nearly a decade into their career. But it begs the question of what do you do? I would argue there are two real paths that I've noticed companies take in this specific situation, okay? Path one is what I have dubbed the Cosmic Girls path, especially after Gravity debuted and was successful, and certainly after IVE came out, which was simply you give them nothing. You give them maybe an album every year, if we're lucky, and that is it. They do not get nothing. And a similar vein path two is what I would call the CLC route, which is what Cube did, even when artists like B2B was big, 4 Minute was still active. What you do is you essentially give them everything, and you hope eventually something sticks. Thankfully, RBW took path two, and we should all be grateful. But that does mean 2023 is a very busy year, so let's get into it. Alrighty, 2023. 2023 was a busy year, and we don't have time to waste. We're actually going to start in January when Yuki and Cherin released their cover of Vegas by Doja Cat, the first time we got a rap-centric Purple Mints cover. And it's great. Obviously, it's great. I wouldn't talk about it if it was bad. These are the ones that I think about all the time and that I love. So obviously, it's good. The thing is, though, Purple Kiss has a great catalog. One of the strongest catalogs of a fourth-generation girl group. I'm going to die on that hill. And they have songs with very good raps. But I don't think they have a single song in their entire discography where I would argue a rap even takes center stage, okay? Not a one song. And don't get me wrong, I love their music. And I'm not mad about that choice, but I do appreciate that they took advantage of their covers to give their rappers time to shine. However, that was just a cover, and in February, we would get our first release from Purple Kiss as a 6-member group when they released their 5th mini-album, Cabin Fever. And Cabin Fever did not help concerns that Purple Kiss was never going to be big, because this thing saw a big drop in sales. This album became their lowest selling to date, only pulling in about 26,000 copies, as well as becoming their lowest charting to date, barely cracking the top 20. There was, from what I can find, a distribution issue with the album, which would explain some of the lesser sales, but even so, these numbers are not reassuring to me. Thankfully, Sweet Juice, the lead single off the album, is another song that could be argued as Purple Kiss's biggest hit. Or more accurately, if nothing else, it is their most streamed. On Spotify, at the very least. It has 21 million streams. I don't know why that doesn't say 21. That should say 21. It has 21 million streams. It is their only song to have cleared 20 million. That said, while Spotify was doing great, YouTube was not. The music video saw a big drop in views, only pulling in around 10 million. And I know, you're all clamoring to hear what I think about this Purple Kiss song, and I know it will shock every single one of you to hear that I think it's really good. I do stand by Nerdy is the perfect Purple Kiss song, but Sweet Juice is damn close, okay? This song is dark and creepy, but also sexy and hits so perfectly. The hook in this thing, dare I say second only to Zombie for hooks that get stuck in my head. Plus, as we know to expect by now, it was not just the title. This whole thing is pretty fucking great. Take is a classic Purple Kiss song. It's dark and it's creepy, and the chorus is excellent, and I really like it. The album's closer, So Far So Good, is our ballad for this one, and it's another great one. As a certified ballad girl, definitely a fan. The music is nothing special, but the vocals, as always, absolutely steal the show, and as always, they're phenomenal. And then we get our standard pop songs, and that's where I go a little bit crazy. Okay, let's start with Age It. Where's Age It? Age It, that song, my god. It's giving me like Oh My Girl, which upon reflection, is Oh My Girl the anti-Purple Kiss? Are they like two sides of the same coin where like one is dark and one is bright, but they both have the best music known to man? Maybe. I'm thinking about this now in real time, and the answer is maybe. Either way, Age It is fantastic. It's bright, and it's catchy, and it's dancey, and it's poppy, and I love it. And then there is our golden B-side, Autopilot. I firmly believe anyone who knows my taste in pop music and has heard this album knows that's my golden B-side. You could have told yourself that long ago, and you'd be right, because Autopilot, it reminds me so much of La Di Da by Everglow, my favorite Everglow song, and I like this one even more. I think this one is so good. The music is fantastic, and the ending is nothing short of perfection, but the chorus is the part that gets me, okay? This chorus is nothing short of, like, sheer pop bliss. Listen, I love darker Purple Kiss. We have established I love a dark Purple Kiss sound, but if I were to take their brighter sounds, their dance pop work, and I were to put it all on a tier list, that's the number one spot. That is their best dance pop song. I'm dying on this hill. Okay, that was Cabin Fever. I hope you got enough of Cabin Fever. It's now winter. And more importantly, it's now March, which is when Dear Violet dropped. Dear Violet being the group's Japanese debut album. This thing sold fine. It sold what I expected it to the extent that when I saw that this thing came out in March and I'd known what their sales were for their first 5 albums, I said to myself it probably sold about 5,000 copies. And sure enough, it sold about 5,000 copies. I am a god. The album is almost exclusively Japanese versions of their Korean singles, the sole exception being Tonari, which is nice. It's a ballad, it's pretty. If you like ballads, you'll like this one. In promotion of their album, though, we would also get our first real Purple Kiss concerts. They did 2 shows in Japan, one in Tokyo, one in Osaka, both at the end of March. Then, in April, we got the announcement that Yuki would be appearing on Queendom Puzzle. The show ran from June through August, and as we've already discussed, she did quite well. She got 3rd place on Queendom Puzzle, and ended up debuting in the final group, which we will get to in a minute. However, while Yuki was busy, Swan took this opportunity to drop a solo album, with 20 dropping in July being her solo debut single album. The album, legally speaking, has 4 songs, but really it has 2. It has the title track 20 and then the B-side Be My Everything. And both songs are great. The lead single 20 is giving me jazzy R&B. It is amazing. I love it. The B-side is more of chill, classic-er R&B, but it's still really nice. Anyway, that was July. August saw the announcement that Yuki would be debuting in L's Up, but first, Purple Kiss took advantage of this little gap between the end of the show and L's Up's debut to drop Festa, their first single album. For what it's worth, this thing did see a boost in sales, probably because of the new eyes on Yuki, but it wasn't anything massive by any means. Festa sold about 35,000 copies and peaked at number 13 on the chart. So we are talking about a jump from their last release. However, Purple Kiss has 6 albums up until this point, and this isn't even in the top half of sales, so do with that what you will. Dear Lord. Okay, it's time to talk about Seven Heaven, the lead single off Festa, and an absolute, complete, and total failure. This song got what I can only describe as a diabolical nosedive in terms of its streams. You may recall their last single had over 20 million. Seven Heaven is 2.5 million, so that's not a good percentage to me. To be fair, YouTube's drop was not as drastic, but it was still pretty concerning. The music video has about 6.5 million views, by far their lowest viewed music video to date. And again, there are various reasons a song could do a dramatic drop in numbers. The one I want to focus on is that this is not a Purple Kiss song. I'm not going to sit here and say like Purple Kiss had one vibe exclusively. We've talked about Zombie. But the thing about Seven Heaven is this is, without a doubt, just generic girl group bubbly pop music. It is music that I enjoy. I would like to be clear. From almost anyone else, I would love this song. But we are talking about Queens of Darkness Purple Kiss. This is not Purple Kiss. Now, I cannot speak from experience because I was not in the Purple Kiss fandom. Really even now, but definitely not when this thing dropped. And I cannot say this with confidence, but my instinct is that this song was the last straw for a lot of people. A lot of people seemingly left Purple Kiss after this thing dropped because this song is everything Purple Kiss isn't. This song is bright, generic, bubbly music. Purple Kiss is dark and creepy with unique sounds. This feels like a sellout. I want to repeat, I'm saying all of this as someone who does enjoy this song. I think Seven Heaven is a fun time if you're looking for what it is. If you want something that's bright and bubbly and kind of soulless, this is a great one for you. This, however, is not a great Purple Kiss song, if that makes sense. Whatever. Let's talk about the B-sides. This is a single album. You may recall there are two B-sides out here. There's Biscuit and there's Mistake. If you were wondering, I do enjoy both of these songs, and I do also think that neither one of these are Purple Kiss. Biscuit has, I want to say New Jeans energy, but I feel like that is inaccurate. It's nice. It's fine. It's pretty good. I enjoy it when it comes on, but that means our golden B-side is going to Mistake. And to be fair, Mistake is a great song, right? It's very guitar forward, which is great for me specifically, plus it's very vocally forward. Something I'm always in favor of for Purple Kiss. Like, it's a good song, it's not Purple Kiss. That's really like the theme of this album. I feel like if you listened to the entire Purple Kiss catalog and you didn't listen to this album at all, I think it is a much more cohesive experience, which is so interesting. That's so fascinating to me, because I stand by this feels like a sellout album in a way that we don't really see in K-pop, because K-pop is so broad and diverse that like you don't sell out in the same way that like Maroon 5 has a sellout album or something, right? And like, it's so interesting because to me, not that I was in any rooms or even in the fandom or like any of that, to me sitting here now in 2025 looking back at it, this feels like RBW giving up. This feels like them saying, yes, we have this girl group that makes dark, creepy music and is really fucking good at doing it. What if we gave them a bright, bubbly pop song? It feels like they made a song they wanted to have go viral on TikTok or something and get them a hit, and it just didn't do that. If anything, it did the opposite of that. Okay, we're done talking about the Festa album because I could keep going. We are, however, not done with September releases because that same month, L's Up would make their debut. I'm not going to get too into this group because they literally existed for 2 months total, but Yuki is there, so we will be touching on it. So, they debuted in September, and they did fine. The album sold about 50,000 copies, so better than anything Purple Kiss was doing, for sure, but not, like, insanely well. Not what you would expect from an Mnet survival show forming a group type of numbers, right? You'd expect another 0 on there. They sold 50,000 copies. Following promotions for L's Up's debut, Yuki would return to Purple Kiss to launch the Festa tour. This thing is, legally speaking, marketed as a world tour, which is a choice. It's a US tour, and then there's one show in Japan. Either way, the tour would kick off on October 31st, but was not free of discourse, because 10 days before the tour started, RBW announced that Yuki, almost certainly the most popular member and the biggest draw at the time, wasn't going to be at about a third of the shows due to her own concerts with Elza. This is, if we're being honest, not a big deal, right? Like, for me personally, I have gone to multiple K-pop concerts with an incomplete lineup for the group. It's not that deep. The issue is really the timing, right? Like, to announce this in late October, the tour was announced in September. They absolutely could have announced what dates Yuki wasn't going to be at in advance. Personally, if anyone wants my stance, and again, you clicked on my video, you're getting my opinion, I do think that's what they should have done. Like, I think when they announced the tour, they should have, like, in the announcement poster or whatever, had, like, a little asterisk, and it's like the asterisk means that Yuki will not be present. The cynic in me does, again, want to be like, she's almost certainly the biggest draw of the members. They almost certainly could have just waited until after tickets were on sale and sold and then told people. That's my 2 cents. That's my opinion. That's all I got. Enough crack theories though. Back to the tour. The tour was actually pretty sizable. It ran for 17 shows all across the US, ran for a month, and that's it for 2023. We're going back to the retrospective corner. So 2023 was not really a great year for Purple Kiss. Yes, we had Sweet Juice, which is arguably their biggest digital hit, but even then, A, early Purple Kiss can give it a run for its money, and also, B, album sales nosedived in 2023. That said, outside of the numbers, I do think the core theme of 2023 was a sort of attempt to expand the Purple Kiss brand outside of what it had already been, which was at this point pretty much just music. We had some solo stuff. Yuki went on Queendom Puzzle, Swan dropped a solo album. We also had a Japanese release, which is another path a lot of artists take. And we had a tour. Actually, speaking of the tour, can I just say, I think it's so interesting that when I look at these groups, because I've covered a wide range of groups of different popularities in my history ofs at this point, and I feel like the girl groups like Purple Kiss never tour. Boy groups, I feel like, are constantly touring, which makes sense, because touring brings in so much money. Even if you're not like a crazy big artist, if you're like a very, and you're on tour, you're gonna bring in some money. Purple Kiss and girl groups of that size never seem to tour, and I've never understood why. Whatever, it's probably misogyny, because of course it is. Let's talk about 2024. Okay, hi, welcome back. We've reached the final full year of Purple Kiss, but on a personal note, I made a snack. I made spinach with various spices. What's in here? Salt, pepper, garlic powder, a ton of garlic powder, chili powder, paprika, some sriracha. It's really nice. I just kind of threw shit in there because last time I went to the store, I bought a pound of spinach. So I've been eating a lot of spinach because I like spinach. That's enough about me. We're refocused to Purple Kiss. Purple Kiss kicked off the year by holding kind of an extension of their tour. Here's the thing. They held a show in Seoul, their first ever show in Seoul, and I have seen legitimate debates on whether this is part of the Festa tour, because it had the Festa name, right? Like, it was a Festa convention thing, and I've seen debates on if this was part of the Festa tour or not, and I think all of this is stupid. The debate specifically is what I find stupid. I'm sure the concert itself was probably really fun, but either way, it doesn't matter because their next show would be in Tokyo at the end of January, and that was officially the end of the Festa tour, so who really cares if the Seoul show was part of it? February was pretty quiet, but March saw the release of BXX, the group's 6th mini-album along with its lead single, BBB. And right off the bat, any additional attention Yuki had brought to the group was pretty much gone. This thing sold 28,000 copies. Not their worst selling, but it is their second worst. The single didn't do much better. BBB has under 4 million streams on Spotify, which, yeah, is a sizable jump from their last song, but it's also still really far off from even anything they released before that. Same thing with YouTube, right? Like, the music video has 8.2 million views. That's 2 million more than their last music video got. It's also 2 million less than the one before that got. So, like, we're not doing too great. That said, I do think that this song is fine. It's fine. That's me. There is great stuff here. Pretty much everything but the chorus I actually think is good. The verses are strong. The pre-chorus is really good too. The main thing is the chorus itself, which is very repetitive in a way that does sometimes annoy me. I don't think it's bad. Dying on the Hill, Purple Kiss does not have a bad song, but I do think that this is their least good title, and more importantly, it's my least favorite. Thankfully, while I don't love the title, the B-sides are a lot better. Toy Boy to me feels like this weird mix of like hyperpop meets R&B, and it's far from the best Purple Kiss song. I'm willing to admit that, but I hold a fondness for it. I think it's simultaneously pretty good and really fun. Heart Attack is our classic R&B song, and as we know to expect, The vocals are delivering. In fact, actually, I feel like they're delivering more on this song. I feel like they stepped their vocals up for this song in a way that I'm very much a fan of. And speaking of vocals, can we talk about Voyager for just a second? Because that song broke me a little bit. I do think part of it is that after their last album, like in my making of this video, I took like a 3-day break and didn't listen to any Purple Kiss. And then I listened to this album for the first time in like a year. And that song gave me goosebumps. The way Swan and Gon come in and just body those vocals, they really deserve the world. And we did not give them what they deserved. Then there's our golden B-side, Bittersweet. This song reminds me of Chang'e in a way. Like, it's so dancey and it's so cool. Like a great Chang'e song, not like one of her questionable ones, probably one of the like, think for the first like 4 albums she released, one of those songs. It's giving that. It is pure pop perfection. Promotions for the album would take us into April, and then in June, Purple Kiss went back out on the road with the BXX tour. This tour fascinates me. They had a whole US run of shows, right? They started and they ended their US leg in Seattle. Very normal place. I did not go for a reason that I'm sure is very valid and normal and that I don't remember in this moment. Anyway, after the Seattle show, they went 3 hours north to Vancouver to perform a Vancouver stop. Right? Wrong. Wrong. The Vancouver stop was the start of the Canadian leg of their tour. This tour had 9 shows in Canada. I would bet hard cash that this Purple Kiss tour visited the most Canadian cities of any K-pop tour, and no one talks about it. Anyway, they did finally leave North America at the beginning of July and got a chance to breathe for maybe the flight, because on July 17th, they would go over to Japan to drop On the Violet, their second Japanese mini-album. This album is entirely made up of Japanese versions of already existing Korean songs, which definitely didn't help when I tell you this thing flopped hard. Like, under 3,000 copies sold, did not peak in the top 20 of the Japanese charts. In promotion of the new album, we would get 2 shows in Japan, which theoretically could have helped sales by like 50 copies. August saw the tour finally ending with a show in Taipei. Again, no Seoul show, which I find interesting. Like, I know they're not crazy popular domestically, but I feel like they should do a Seoul show, right? Like, I'm not the only, that's weird, right? Anyway, that was August, September was quiet, and then in October, we got Headway, the group's 7th mini-album. And I have to start with a confession. This is when I stopped paying attention to Purple Kiss, like in real time. In the real timeline of Purple Kiss, this is when I stopped focusing on them, really. I don't know what it was specifically, but I do know I did not know this thing dropped for like at least a month. Even then, prior to making this video, I had heard this album maybe twice. I don't know what it was that was going on. Maybe I had something going on in my life. I don't think I did in October of 2024. But like, maybe. Actually, I did. I did really hate my job at the time. But either way, I don't know what was going on. This album did not register for me at all. And the thing is, I am not alone in missing this comeback, because this thing flopped hard. The music video for the song has 1.4 million views. Very respectable number for a lot of people. I would kill a man to get 1.4 million views. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I don't really care. But like, theoretically, 1.4 million views. Great number to get. So the debut trailer of Purple Kiss has 1.1 million views. They have multiple covers in the like 1.5 million plus area. 1.4 million on a music video. A mainline music video? Not good. Spotify is not looking much better. On My Bike has 2.4 million streams. For some context, their first 3 albums all have B-sides with more streams than that. And that is the least streamed title they've had up until this point. And the thing is, I don't get it. I don't get it. On My Bike is not like the best Purple Kiss song. It's not like this hidden masterpiece, but it is good. It's probably their strongest title, at least in my opinion, since I'd say Sweet Juice is probably the next best. So like, definitely their best in a hot minute. And yet, no one paid attention. It is more like rock than their other titles. I will give it that, but it's rock in a way that works. Like, it works well. The creepy vibes are back in full force. Personally, I think had instead of Festa, they dropped this song, it would have done much better. Alas, they did not. Alas, we are here, and here's the album sales. The album sold relatively similar numbers to their last one. It sold 27,000 copies, so bit of a drop, but nothing scary. Charts, different story. It peaked at number 17. 17, not doing too great. Thankfully, I'm done with numbers, and it's time to talk about the music. And remember how I said prior to making this video, I'd heard Headway like twice and then never listened to it again? I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me. This is their best album in years. We have 3 real B-sides on this album, because again, I don't care about the intro. We have 3 real B-sides, and they cover what I consider the 3 sort of families of Purple Kiss B-sides. Light the Way is our vocal song. It's nice, it's pretty, we get excellent singing from all of our members, because of course we do. It's a good time. Encore covers darker pop sounds, I'll call it. It's creepy, it's spooky, it's excellent. It has such good music and one of the best raps we get in any Purple Kiss song in their entire catalog. And then there's our golden B-side, Sweet Nightmare. This is the pop perfection category, okay? The opening of this song alone has me on the verge of levitating off the ground with sheer joy, okay? This song is pop bliss. This song is pop excellence. This song is pop royalty. You know that tweet that goes around every once in a while where it's like, these are the K-pop Bibles? This song deserves its own section in the K-pop Bible. This is one of the strongest regularly pop songs that Purple Kiss has released, and we've established they have several that make me foam at the mouth. Purple Kiss, for what it's worth, pushed hard for Headway to do well. They were doing fan signs for months after this album came out, but that does wrap up the year, and I want us to close with a very, very important question. Why was Headway their first October comeback? I remember so vividly in like 2022, 2023, praying and begging for Purple Kiss to embrace the spook, right? To embrace their spooky roots and do a Halloween comeback. Make a Halloween-themed music video, sort of their TT vibe, if you will. Drop it. I think it would have done really well. Like, I understand that other groups, right? Like, you time summery songs for summer. You time Christmassy songs for December. We need to embrace Halloween. I have a Halloween playlist. I have a Christmas playlist. I have a Halloween playlist. I love spooky K-pop songs, and I don't understand why no one is willing to embrace the spook. I guess you could argue RBW did eventually embrace the spook. We got an October comeback. It took until we were literally on death's door, but we got there. We got one. But either way, that is it for 2024. We're going back to the retrospective corner. So, that was 2024, and frankly, you can say a lot of things about RBW and Purple Kiss. You cannot deny they gave 2024 their all. Like, say what you will about RBW and the way they've handled Purple Kiss, because best believe I will have thoughts on it in a minute, but, like, you can't deny they really did give them every opportunity to try and stay active in some form at this point. Like, the only real big move I can think of that RBW didn't pull is make one of the members be an actor. And, like, that's not really the RBW way. Unfortunately, by the end of 2024, I do kind of think the writing is on the wall. Maybe not that they should disband, but, like, the writing was there, to say the least, simply because if you look at Purple Kiss up until this point, they'd had meh-ish album sales throughout their career, but at least early Purple Kiss was getting decent streaming numbers. By this point, even just a few years later, they were getting a tenth of what they'd done with their early work. And as we now know, 2025 means the end of Purple Kiss. So let's go talk about it. So, we've reached 2025, the final year of Purple Kiss. And we are not starting strong. If you were wondering, if you go to, I think it's Purple Kiss's official website, it might be the RBW website, I had it up when I was taking the notes though, it's their official calendar with like schedules and whatnot. And the first thing for 2025 that isn't like a birthday or an anniversary or something like that is in July. So we are not starting strong. That said, I'm only jumping ahead to February because February saw the release of 3 Purple Mints covers, the Purple Mints Holy Trinity, if you will. These covers reignited my love for this group in a way that I cannot properly explain. I'm going to run through all of them. All three of them are relevant to me specifically, and we're going to go in the order of feralness I am about them, which is ironically the reverse order of their release, but it's my video and they came out like a month apart, so it's not that deep and I can do what I want. Cool. Starting us off is Dosi and Yuki's cover. I should mention, it's a medley, so we get 4 songs, 2 girls a cover, 2 songs a girl, so 4 songs total. Cover 1 begins with Dosi doing Push to Start by Tyla, and it's great. It's nice. It's Push to Start. What's not to like? Then Yuki shows up to do Taste, the first of a couple Sabrina Carpenter songs in this trinity, but here's my thing. It's good, right? Yuki sounds good. Taste is a fantastic song, but she lacks the confidence to sell the song. I should clarify. In Taste, if you've listened to Taste, if you haven't listened to Taste, Wild you made it to an hour plus deep dive about Purple Kiss, but either way, if you've listened to Taste, you'll know there's a sort of confidence to Sabrina singing. The confidence of, yes, I fucked your man, what of it? I don't think Yuki has that confidence. She sounds more timid in a way that I don't think properly sells the song. Anyway, remember how I said we got a bunch of Sabrina? Next, we have Dosi doing Nonsense. And it's fun. Nonsense is just a dumb, fun pop song. And Dosi does a good job. So like, what complaints are there? Then closing out cover number 1 is Guilty Conscience by Tate McRae. And I don't care. I don't care for it. Here's my thing. I feel like I'm being mean to Yuki specifically in this video, or like in this cover review, I guess I'll call it. But here's my thing. Tate McRae makes such meh music to me. There are like 3 Tate McRae songs that I think are pretty good. And that's not one of them. So we're moving on. Cover number 2. Cover number 2 is Ida and Chan, and we are still not free of Sabrina. We have our 3rd Sabrina song of the series, with Chan opening by doing Please, 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 and it's great. She sounds fantastic. She does not get to call him a motherfucker, but it's fine. I'm accepting of it exclusively because she bodies the bridge. Then Ida shows up. Ida does open with the Cunnilingus Dream. The Dream of Lesbian Cunnilingus, specifically. It's Lunch by Billie Eilish. It's fun. It's good. She has a good time with it. She also closes the cover having a good time. She closes by doing Dancing in the Flames by The Weeknd, a song I really like and never see anyone talk about. However, you may have noticed I said our second and last song were Ida, which means what's the 3rd song? The 3rd song is Chan coming in to do Snooze by SZA, and I'm so sorry, this is flawless, this is incredible, the world needs to be aware of this. I don't remember how many views this cover has. It needs minimum 200,000 times that number to get the number it deserves, simply for the snooze portion of this cover. SZA herself almost needs to be embarrassed by how good the snooze portion of this cover is. She sounds so good. It's actually like mind-blowing to me, and I say this having spent the past, how long have I been sitting here? 3 hours hyping up Purple Kiss vocals. I would say I'm normal and calm, but I would like to remind the class we're going in order of feralness, and we've reached cover number 3. Cover number 3 is Gone and Swan, and if you want to see 2 bad bitches link up to demolish a cover, this is a high potential duo, and boy do they deliver. Swan opens our cover with Stay a Little Longer by Rosé. If you did not know this about me, the Rosie album is an album I'm crazy about. Specifically, Stay a Little Longer is a song I'm obsessed with. That song is on my Apple Music replay. I listen to it all the time. I saw that tweet, because like it's being viral right now, where it's like, what's insert artist's best song but you can't name whatever song, and it was like, what's Rosé's best song but you can't say Number One Girl, and I was like, we are acting like Number One Girl is her best ballad when Stay a Little Longer has miles on that song. I am so unwell about that song. Swan does such a good job with it. Next we get back-to-back Gone segments. We open with Olivia Dean's Dive. It's nice, it's pretty. Then we get more Rosé with Number One Girl. In spite of my very recent Number One Girl slander, Number One Girl is another song I'm crazy about. So like, we were eating in this moment. And speaking of eating, this set for her, it's really fun. She's vibing in a kitchen, and I think it's fun. It brings nothing, like cover-wise, it adds nothing. I just think it's fun. No time to dwell on that. We have to talk about the close of this cover. This is so iconic. This cover closes with Swan doing the end of Defying Gravity. Like, start with So If You Care to Find Me. That portion, it's just her at a mic. To say she bodies it is an understatement. I also just think this is so funny. Imagine your company comes to you, like comes to your whole group, and it's like, for your anniversary, this was for their anniversary. I think I forgot to mention that. This trio was for their anniversary, but they come to you and they're like, for your anniversary, we want to do some covers. And you come up back to them and you're like, okay, cool. For my portion, I want to do the ending of Defying Gravity. And then you do it. And not only do you do it, you demolish it. Icon. Icon behavior. These two are so hot. Anyway, those are the covers. That is the Purple Mint's Holy Trinity. A series of covers with 12 songs that, with maybe 3 exceptions, are all songs I adore. I feel like it was designed for me specifically to go crazy. It was designed in a way that it was all songs that I specifically am insane about, songs that have me climbing the walls, and they did it for me. They knew I was going to make this video and they wanted to make sure that their covers got a section. I've decided this. I'm right. We're moving on. And when I say move on, we are speeding. We are jumping all the way to July when Purple Kiss would release I Miss My, their second single album. The album sold about what we would expect from a Purple Kiss album at this point in their careers. Sold 28,000 copies. It did peak outside the top 20, their first ever album to do so. It peaked at number 22. So in case you were wondering, society is still finding ways to disappoint me. And then there's the lead single, Do Re Mi. This song is pretty good, but it's not great and it's not Purple Kiss. It reminds me of like late stage Red Velvet in the way that it's kind of boring, but like it's fine. And society does kind of seem to agree with me. This thing is not doing well. I will give the caveat, it is only a couple months old, but it doesn't even have 1 million streams on Spotify as of right now. We're not looking too good. YouTube is better. It already has more views than On My Bike, so at least there's that. But, like, it's still their second least viewed music video, so I wouldn't say we're doing well. Okay, that was the title. Our final real mainline Purple Kiss title. What about the B-sides? VVV is fine. It's so aggressively fine. I'm dying on the hill Purple Kiss does not have a bad song, but this one's pushing me real close to saying it's just so boring and lifeless, and in comparison to Purple Kiss B-sides, which are usually just overflowing with life and personality, and this one's so meh. Thankfully, the other B-side on here is Lost and Found, and that's our golden B-side, and that's a genuinely fantastic song, okay? It's giving like rock meets hyperpop, kind of punky, but also bubblegummy. It's bubble punk. It's bubble punk. I've decided this. It is bubble punk. It's so good, right? Like, the music is fantastic. It has this ethereal, almost haunting energy to it. It's such a good song. And in what is undeniably one of the most fucked up turn of events in K-pop, before promotions for this album were even done, RBW had announced that Purple Kiss was disbanding a few months later. They would be disbanding in November. This announcement was crazy for a couple reasons. The main one being, Purple Kiss had like schedules scheduled, right? Like, the announcement was like, we know we have a tour and we have an English album, but like after that, they're done. And I just think that someone, as a result of this, needs to explode by having a firework shoved up their ass. Speaking of that English album though, let's get into it, because in August, Purple Kiss would release Our Now, their first English album, and if RBW was hoping the announcement of an impending disbandment was going to drive sales up, they were sorely mistaken. Our Now, as of the last time I checked, has sold 5,000 copies. In total, 5,000 copies. We are not going out with a bang. Then there's the songs on this album. This album, as you might expect, is an English album. It is made up almost exclusively of English versions of their titles, with the English version of Do Re Mi serving as the lead single for the album. We do get 2 new songs though. The first one is Want You Back. This is a standard pop song, and it's good. I like it. However, we've also established Purple Kiss can take a standard pop sound and demolish it. Give me something that has me feral. This one's good, it's not amazing. The other song is Unhappily Ever After. This is more Purple Kiss coded, it's darker, creepier. Swan on the Chorus sounds crazy good. It's definitely the stronger of the two for me. And then on September 13th, Purple Kiss would launch A Violet to Remember, essentially their farewell tour. It was largely in the US, as we can expect. There were, I believe, 13 shows or something around that number. They didn't come to Seattle, and I definitely would have actually gone this time simply because I do want to see them live, and now I guess I never will. They would follow this up with some shows in Asia before this very week, on November 15th, Purple Kiss would hold a Seoul concert, essentially their goodbye performance at this point. The final opportunity for their fans to actually get to go and see them, potentially ever. And on that lovely note, this has been the history of Purple Kiss. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked it. This has truly been a labor of love. At this point, in the making of this video, as I do for most of my deep dives, I end up like on the Twitter sphere of the people who like are stans, right? So like I ended up embedded into Purple Kiss Twitter and watched the sort of like collective mourning that's been going on all week. Because like, what day is this today? Today is October 6th. No, it's the 5th. Today's the 5th. Today's the 5th. It's October 5th, which means their US leg wrapped like pretty recently. And it's just, I've been watching everyone collectively mourn. And meanwhile, I've been sitting here for over 3 hours at this point. So this video is going to be a long one for sure. I say like they all aren't. But I've just been sitting here doing my own version because like I was never a big Purple Kiss stan. And to me, it's like, I don't even think I could name all the members gun to my head. And that's after making this video. I probably could right now, simply because, like, I just named them all in the course of this past 3 hours. But, like, I couldn't if you asked me a week from now, probably. And the way I always engage with Purple Kiss is through the music. And even though, like, their last albums are not my favorites, or at least favorites in my memory, not so much musically. We know I love the Headway EP, but it's just, even though their music has not always stayed as consistently strong as I would love it to be, it's just, there's a part of me that feels so weird knowing I'm never going to get more of it. I was waiting to start recording simply because I was expecting even, we were going to get like a goodbye single that RBW was going to be like, okay, like at their Seoul show, they're going to drop this single, like it's going to come out on the 15th, this celebration or whatever, and we haven't gotten that. And I'm now close enough, because I originally was going to wait and I was going to post the video when the day they dropped the single because I was expecting a single, and now there is no single, so I'm just going to post this because what else am I going to do? But it's just, it feels weird to me that this is how Purple Kiss went out. Like, they went out in what feels like such a fucked up way. In the way where it's like, we know you guys have like 6 months of schedules. Because keep in mind, they announced the disbandment in August. Or July. They announced the disbandment in July. And like, Purple Kiss probably knew in advance. Like, they probably knew before I Miss Mike came out. The concept of being like, we know you have all these schedules booked, but like, we're not giving you any more chances, we're done with you. That just feels so fucked up to me. I don't know. Maybe I don't have the heart for the entertainment industry. It's something to dwell on. Either way, I've been rambling enough already. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, feel free to like and subscribe, or don't. I make no money off of this channel. Everything I do is for my own psyche, to get my shit out there so I don't have to keep thinking about it. And that's what these videos are. These videos are my way of like expelling things from my mind about this. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, again, like and subscribe or don't, I'll be fine either way. You can comment whatever you want down below. In the description, I'll put a couple things. I think I promised you Smoky Glow channel, Evolution of playlist. I will put the cover playlist for Purple Kiss from their channel. I'll put the Purpleman's Cup playlist down there too. If you want the more like professionally done ones, you can check those out. I'll put my own playlist that has all my other history ofs. Done a bunch of them. I've been making them monthly for like 2 years now. So there's a lot of them. There's some older ones. If you want slideshow ones, don't watch the first like 10. After that, you should be fine. You can see in the thumbnail what they are. Other than that, yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So thank you again for watching. Bye!